Thank you all for taking the time to go through this introduction to Voice over IP service with the Agency of Digital Services project. Um, we are going to cover the initial information that you'll need to know in order to get started with VoIP service. As you can see on your screen, there are ways to contact the VoIP team, project team, which is at dii.voipproject@vermont.gov. And there's also a web address to go look for more information. So what is the VoIP project about? It's really about providing phone services over network capabilities versus out-of-dated technology. This project is also about doing this as part of an upgrade to your existing hardware, your networking hardware. That's at the expense of the project. The project will be picking up for cabling, any cabling needs, any data jacks, anything of the sorts. So if it's VoIP related, we've got it covered. Also, updating your desk phone. So you get a shiny new phone if you when you transition over to VoIP service. The phone models, there's 3 different models. The most common to be deployed is a Cisco 8811. And you can search on the website from the previous link that shares the user guide on how to operate it. It's very simple, but we do provide a user guide for those hidden features that you might not be aware of. Also, there's additional line features and capabilities. You'll have access to a self-care portal, and in there you can make changes to the functionality of your phone. Okay, the rollout plan. Stage 1, meeting people and planning. That's what we're doing right now. This is obviously a recording for those who aren't able to attend the initial meeting and join into the Q&A, but it's part of early planning, meeting the POCs, providing as much information up front as possible, and sharing you as POCs, points of contact, sharing that information with other people within your office. The next step will be data collection date. You'll receive a meeting invite for this, but this is the day that the vendor, NWN, comes on site to collect your telephone information data. You'll receive a spreadsheet that has preliminary information of what we have in our current system. And what we found is that most people have changes to that as we transition. They've identified lines that maybe need to be disconnected, or you've dealt with a service because there has been limited capabilities and there's new capabilities that you'd like to take advantage of. All of that is documented on the data collection worksheet and gone over with NWN. As a side note, a very important note, if you have an auto attendant, you need to make sure that that's noted on which telephone number that auto attendant lives for the data collection date. And for those that are wondering what an auto attendant is, it's typically on a main line. You'll call in and you have an option. You can push, it's a hello, you've reached this office. For this group, press 1. For this group, press 2. That's an auto attendant. If you have one of those, please make note of that on the data collection that you receive an email, and also identify who the owner or person who adjusts your auto attendant is. Stage 3 is communications. Sign-off request is about 3 to 5 days after the data collection day. So you'll receive that spreadsheet that you went over with NWN back. You'll receive a call from somebody here within ADS, which is Agency of Digital Services, who'd like to walk through the data collection, make sure that there's nothing out of the ordinary, just one last double check, and then you'll receive an email requesting sign-off 2 to 3 weeks prior to your go live. So the date that you will actually transition over to using VoIP service. you'll receive a notification that your phones are going to be installed. As a side note here, again, you could receive phone calls on your VoIP phone from other people that have already transitioned within state government. So if you're in constant communication with somebody in Burlington and you're in the Springfield office, Burlington's already transitioned, your Springfield office is upcoming. For those 2 to 3 weeks prior to your transition, if somebody from Burlington calls you and you're in Springfield, you will receive that call on your VoIP phone. It just means that your phone has been configured properly and is working as designed. The transition date will make it so that anybody that calls you, regardless of their phone service, will ring on your VoIP phone. And 5 to 7 days prior to go live, we'll provide emails with training links, user guides. As POCs, it's crucial that you share this information with other people in your office. Most people have distribution lists that you can send to and spread the information. We would rather you spread the information to more people than anticipated, and make sure that everybody's covered. And then stage 4 is transition and support. That's your go live date. So the date that we typically talk about will be the day that you go live. The day before is your transition day. That evening at 4:45, your lines will start transitioning over to VoIP service. And through the evening and through the night, your lines will all transition over to VoIP service. You'll come in the next day, and that day, your phones will be working. You'll have an NWN engineer on site as well as an ADS network engineer on site for any troubles. Your questions and how-to should really be addressed ahead of time. Granted, you may not know what to ask ahead of time. There is always the website, the frequently asked questions. And when your phones were deployed, you'll receive a quick reference sheet. It's just a very quick, how do you access voicemail? How do you dial an outside line? How do you make an emergency call? Which I'd like to point out is just 911. There is no need for 8, which is the new prefix, or 9, which is the old traditional prefix. It's just 911. So the engineers will be on site the day of go live, making sure that everything went smooth, checking those auto attendants, making sure all phones registered, and assisting folks as they need help. Typically, everybody's gone around noon, if not early afternoon. We just like to hang out, make sure that phone calls are coming in as planned, and support your site as much as possible that day. After go live, all issues that are identified, any new requests need to be submitted through Landesk and put in as a ticket. Clearly, if your whole office goes down for some reason, by the way, we have not had that happen, but if that was to happen, please give us a call immediately and we will start resolving the issue as soon as possible. This is a page for available resources, as we've talked about before. There's the project website. There's links to contacting everybody on the team. There's status reports if you're interested. The VoIP Project, support website, which will stay live after the project has completed. So this is a site that you will likely want to bookmark in as part of your favorites in your web browser. Is the VoIP support website. It's the one with telecommunications in it. There'll be training information, user guides, frequently asked questions is a great place. We've really harvested all of the questions that folks have already asked and have created a knowledge base of that information. That's a great place for folks to start. And then also the Agency of Digital Services IT Service Desk. So how to contact us when your phones are past that first day of go live support where you have 2 engineers on site. It'll be for the future going forward with all of your telecommunication needs. Questions. Typically, if you were participating in the meeting invite, this is where we would pause and ask questions. Again, this is where you can reference the frequently asked questions page on our website, but you can also email dii.voipproject, all one word, at vermont.gov for any of your needs throughout. Again, I just would like to remind you that as the POC, the point of contact, you are responsible for providing, sharing the information with other folks in your office. You are the person who we get information to, who knows the others within your office. So sharing all of this information is very helpful and will help your transition go much more smoothly. A little bit more about this. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. You can read it, but the point of contact role, what you should definitely know is you are the person who is validating all of the information, processing the data collection. And by validating the information, what I'm referring to is the data collection worksheet, which the network engineer, NWN engineer will be on site to go through with you. You just need to verify that that is what your business requirements are, and make sure that you can facilitate sign-off, be present for the meetings, identify who the auto attendant is, just all of the, you are our point of contact for the location and the site. So if we have questions, we need your response. If you are not the right person, we need to know that as soon as possible. And if you could help identify either the correct person or who would make that decision, that is another thing that is extremely helpful. If you're going to be out the day of the data collection, we need to know that, and need to know that somebody else is going to be present in your absence. We need to know if you are not going to be available for go live date. We typically like you there just to help folks along. You're the one that's going to be saturated in the information. So we're hoping that you can be present and help people. You know who folks are, you know who your high volume areas are or folks are. That's very helpful. So again, I'll let you read this at your leisure. You can go ahead and pause now if you'd like and finish reading, or you can read it another time. I'm going to keep moving forward. Please take note. I think I've already stressed this a lot. It's very important that all requests are reviewed for accuracy as well, and fulfilled as quickly as possible to ensure the project schedule can also be kept on track. Accuracy goes down to spelling, making sure that telephone numbers are not transposed, making sure that the features asked for are accurate. You wouldn't want, as an example, a line that's in a main lobby for customers to use. You wouldn't want voicemail on there. And the engineers will help with that. Sometimes going through all of the data collects, there's somebody messes up on the line that they're on and voicemail gets added to that line. We just would like your eyes on that one last time to make sure that we have that correct. You wouldn't want voicemail on a lobby line. There's nobody to answer that. There's no voice to record for that. Any questions regarding your point of contact role, you can reach out to the project team. You can reach out to myself, Serena Kemp, the project manager. We will help facilitate as much as possible We pretty much have this down so you get packets of information at strategic times so that you can share that information and this transition can go smoothly. If you, again, have any questions, just reach out. New features. A lot of people ask what there are for new features, and here's a high-level overview. There's more in the self-care portal, but dialing zero from voicemail, this used to be something that a ticket was entered for. Now, if you're going to be out for a week, you can log into the self-care portal, put in a dial zero option out to maybe somebody who's backing you up while you're out, and you can leave that in your voicemail greeting when you're out of office. Caller ID, you can have the outbound number, so the number that displays when you call somebody, be masked with 802-241-2000. When you call that number, you don't get anybody. There is no way to reach somebody by dialing that number. It's just a mask number. Most folks within the state of Vermont understand that 241 is a state of Vermont number. So that number would appear and folks would understand that it's from state of Vermont, hopefully answer it. But if not, and your number needed to be confidential, for whatever business need you had, you could have your caller ID masked with that number. You just need to make sure that that's identified. Voicemail to email. This is just as it sounds. Your voicemail can be sent to your email in an audio file. We need to validate your business requirements around that. Some folks have security reasons why they cannot have that happen. There's sensitive data in there, HIPAA data, PII information, those types of things where you cannot have your voicemail be sent to your email. But for those that can, it's an option, and you need to let us know you'd like that. Single number reach allows users to forward their VoIP phone to another line. Most other lines chosen are cell phones, and that works if you're a traveling person, you're in the office maybe 3 days a week, and you'd like to make sure that your cell phone number is potentially kept confidential, but you'd like to get those calls when you're out and about on those 2 days. You can have your office phone sent to your cell phone. Your voicemail box. The total storage is approximately 30 minutes. And the maximum length for a single voicemail is 5 minutes. Before, there was a smaller portion for that unless requested, and there was an upcharge. Now this is standard. There can be as many messages in the 30 minutes or as few as 6 5-minute messages. Self-care portal access, I touched on this a little bit already. This is where you can log in and change some of the features yourself. You have the capability of adding it, as in the dial zero from your voicemail box. There is login information here. They're specific for AHS and non-AHS. So if you do not work within the Agency of Human Services, you should be looking at the second option of being able to log in. So that's the highlight for new features. There are more. You'll see that when you log into the self-care portal, and you can request more information as well. Helpful, what's new and helpful tips. The quick reference sheet, as we talked about before, that will be deployed with telephones. The example of information is the user guides. We point again out to the website, the telecommunications website that will stay on after the project is over. Here you can find how to make phone calls, i.e. you need to dial 8 instead of 9 for what's called an off-net call, which is also known as getting an outside line. How to access voicemail, requesting support. Another big piece that's on the website the telecommunications VoIP website is headset capability. Folks who have a headset need to go out and verify that the headset is on the approved list. If it's not on there, it likely will not work with the Cisco phone. However, there's a chance that you may have one that we don't have listed, and it does work. We have all that Cisco has provided to us that are compatible. If you need to order a new headset in order to be live for go live date, then you'll want to submit a ticket for a hardware purchase. Again, items to take note from the quick reference sheet is dialing 911. You do that by dialing just 911. There has been a lot of confusion about this, a lot of question. So I just want folks to understand that there's no need for an 8 to get an outside line or 9, just 911. As another helpful tip and reminder, your voicemail needs to be set up as soon as your phone is available. So when your phone first plugs in, it will just be blank. At one point, about 2 to 3 weeks prior to your go live date, which you will receive notification about, your phones will display registering. After they register, you should see accurate information, which would be displayed from the data collect. So the telephone number, the person's name, and when you pick up the handset, you will hear dial tone. You should, at that time, when you hear dial tone, you should log into your voicemail box and record your greeting. Then for day one, go live, you are all set. You are ready to deploy, ready to get running. Support information again after go live date is logging tickets through LANDesk. Online resources, we've really talked about this. This has hyperlinks in it for you, as other pages did as well. But there is information regarding the website. We really can't stress enough how helpful the website is when folks go to it. It gives you instant access to information and answers to your questions. We don't like there to be a delay, and unfortunately at this time there is at times a delay sending things to the VoIP Project mailbox a day or two. We really want you to be able to have the information as soon as possible, and that's why we continue to point out the VoIP telecommunications website. So that's it. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time to listen to this. As reminders, share the information that you receive through email. You'll receive emails from the DII VoIP Project at Vermont.gov email. You'll receive emails also from Don Corella, Serena Kemp, and Rhonda Hardacre for this project. All of those are in regards to the VoIP project and typically have a pile of information either for you or that needs to be shared. When in doubt, send it to everybody. We would rather have more information out than find out a point of contact that it didn't need to be shared and kept it, which could cause lots of questions the day of go live. And second reminder, validate content that is sent to you, review and respond as quickly as possible. Our timeline is to end the project in about the October-November timeframe. And that's pretty tight. That's about 17,000 lines remaining at this point, which is the end of June. And we would like to keep that. We can only keep that deadline if you respond as quickly as possible. So we appreciate that when you do that. And then third, again, the frequently asked questions page on the project website. If you don't find the answer to your question, there is a link on that page that you can click on for a question. It'll pop up an email. You can enter that in there. It'll go to the correct place. and we'll note that you did not find what you're looking for on the website, and we'll add it. So we appreciate it when you do that as well. Again, this would be the point in time during a presentation, if you were able to make the meeting, that you would be able to ask questions. But because this is a recording, please visit the frequently asked questions page and see if yours has been answered. Here is contact information for everybody that's touching the VoIP project. So State of Vermont team, you can reach us at dii.voipproject@vermont.gov. You can also send emails to any one of the folks that are listed underneath. Ray Danis is the telecommunications director. He is the infrastructure knowledge base. Don and Rhonda are project liaisons. They help coordinate all of these meetings and information to make sure that you folks have everything at your fingertips. And then names that you may see emails from would be Jan Ladon, Henry Sosa, and Cody Brockway. They are all from NWN, who are the vendor, the vendor team. You will likely meet Henry and or Cody at one point throughout your transition to the VoIP service within state government. They will be doing data collects and supporting you going live over to VoIP service. And lastly, but not leastly, again, for the probably 100th time, there is the Telecommunications and Enterprise Project VoIP website at the bottom. There are hyperlinks for you to reference. Reach out with any questions, and we thank you for taking the time to watch this.